Good morning and welcome back to week 3 of Make It Yourself May. And today I am making English muffin bread. And I have actually been sick this week. So I was fortunate that I had a loaf of this in my freezer. And I took it out and it was so convenient when we were sick this week. This recipe makes 2 loaves, so I always throw one in the freezer or give one away to a friend. And this collaboration, Make It Yourself May, was started by Anne from What's Up Family. And it's a great collaboration with all different recipes that you can make yourself at home rather than getting at the store that include just things that you have in your pantry normally. This is a really simple recipe. And as you can see, there's lots of nice holes in the bread. I usually put it through the toaster like 1.5 times with my toaster to get it browned to the amount that I like. And this morning I'm having that along with some eggs from my chickens. I just love the color of them. No cheese added, that's the color they are. But I'll put the playlist down below for the Make It Yourself May for week 3. And I'm excited to see what recipes everyone came up with. And I want to thank Anne so much for coming up with this collaboration. I think it's a really fun and interesting one. And I hope you enjoy this.
Good morning. Welcome to Pike Creek Farm. My name is Renee, and this morning we're going to make English muffin bread. Something I like to have on hand. I throw in the freezer, and it's just real convenient to have. It's very simple. I was a person who always killed yeast. I could never make bread. And over the past couple of years, I have been practicing and I can do it okay now, actually. And this is a real simple bread. It takes all-purpose flour. It doesn't take any special yeast or bread flour, which I use for my white bread. So it's a real simple one. And I'm going to make it with packets of yeast because it's a bulk yeast, because that's easier if you're just starting off, just to buy some packets of yeast. So the first thing we need to do is I have 2 bread pans, and I have silicone ones. The recipe that I found on Pinterest that I took this from, she suggested glass pans, but I don't have glass pans, so I've used these all along, and they work out fine. I should probably buy some glass pans to see. And what we need to do is I have sprayed these lightly, and we're going to put some cornmeal, sprinkle it on the bottom, and tip the edges and get it so it kind of coats the edges, so you'll have that crunchy bite that English muffins are supposed to have. So let me get the spoon. I like this recipe because it doesn't take long to make. I can make it before work. I have an 8 a.m. meeting this morning, and I can get this made no problem before that. It doesn't have to be kneaded. So what I do is I kind of just go around, tap, like when you're flouring in a pan. And before we actually bake the loaves, after they rise, we will sprinkle some on the top of the loaves too. I set my oven on warm when I decided to make this, and let it preheat, and then just to warm, and turned it off. And now I have the light on in my oven, and that will be warm enough for this to rise, but not to bake it. Okay, I'm gonna dump out this excess here, and I will be back. I have a 1/4 cup of water that I heated up in the microwave. I heated it up a little too much, so trying to get it, I want it in the 110 range. I am not good at just using my finger to know if it's right. That, I guess, feels like bath water, so it should be okay. But when I started using a thermometer just to double check the temperature is when I stopped killing yeast. So I kind of stick to that. We need to add 2 packets or 2 tablespoons of yeast if you have bulk yeast. I figure a lot of people just have like the packets. So I like to put it into this container, not into the big bowl, which is, in our house, it's a little cold, so it would cool it off too quick. And I have 1 tablespoon of honey. You can also use sugar, so either one works, but we are using honey today. Okay. We're gonna let this, mix this up a little and let it do its magic. It will start getting foamy and bubbly, and the yeast is eating the honey and doing what it's supposed to do to make the nice bubbles and make the bread rise. This bread calls for all-purpose flour, not bread flour, and I've never made it with bread flour. And I do it sometimes with just white, sometimes I add some whole wheat flour to it. I have made it with all whole wheat, and that seemed a little tough to me. I didn't enjoy it as much. I still ate it, but if I'm gonna add any whole wheat, I'll do it like half and half or a third, but not 100% whole wheat. At least with the wheat flour I have. I should probably experiment some. So this is getting foamy. To this, we're going to add up to 4.5 cups of flour. This makes a real sloppy, goopy dough that you pour right into the pan. So it's not like you wanted to make a nice firm dough ball or soft dough ball like you do for regular bread. This needs to be scooped out. You can't just pick it up. I also, one of the ingredients, and I'll put the recipe below, is 2¼ cups of milk that I have warmed to about 110. And let me double check temperature. And it can be a little below or a little above. You don't want it, I try to keep it under 120, 115. And this is at 110 right now and slowing down, so it is good. So I am going to pour this into this bowl because it has gotten foamy. Scoop out all the yeast and honey. And now we're going to add the warm milk. And you want it to be warm so it doesn't deactivate the yeast, so it doesn't kill it. I am using a dough hook, Danish dough hook. I don't have a KitchenAid mixer, and I don't think it's actually even necessary for this recipe. That's mixed up, and we need to add baking soda and salt and flour. So I'm going to start with 1 cup of flour, and the recipe called for mixing the flour and the salt and the baking soda separate. I've just always mixed it right into here. So I'll add 1 cup. And then on top of that, I will put 2 teaspoons of salt on top of the flour. And 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. It is just a little bit that you need. And I'm just gonna eyeball it with this. Okay. So then on top of that, I'm gonna add right away another cup of flour. So that's 2 cups of flour in there. We're gonna mix this up. And it's just soupy right now, you know, with some lumps in it. So we're gonna go for cup number 3. When we have visitors here to Pike Creek Farm, we like to serve some of our farm fresh eggs or from our chickens. And we have a local meat market that we buy, a Walsh's meat market that we buy homemade sausage or bacon from. And then have this bread with some homemade jam. Okay, this will be number 4. I put an apron on intentionally because I am messy with bread making. I am actually going to empty out some of this excess flour. I don't think I'm going to need all of that 1/4. I should have added by a 1/2 cup. Yeah, this is, see how it's just gloopy? Falls off of this. You don't want it like a batter. It is not supposed to be a batter. It's just supposed to be a pretty wet, gloopy dough. So this is to that point. I didn't need that. A little less than 4 cups would have done it for me. So now we will take this and we will put it into the pans that we have prepared. Then we'll set it in the oven to rise, and it rises about level with the pan. It's not like a white bread dough or, you know, a sandwich loaf that you would rise higher. So we're going to put about 1/2 in each one. Spread it out. Get it into the corners. Get the other pan. I have not tried to make regular homemade English muffins yet. I have the cast iron pans, and I think that's something I should experiment with one weekend. But I found this recipe and it's just been very convenient, so I've stuck to it. second one. Growing up, my dad's favorite thing to have for a snack or at breakfast was always toast. He loves his bread, loves toast. His nighttime snack was always peanut butter toast or popcorn. If Mom was gone, he would eat peanut butter toast for dinner. Okay, so here are the 2 loaves. I'm going to put them in the oven and set the timer for about a half hour and see if they are up to where they should be. It's a cool morning here, but that's why I have the light on in my oven, and I turned it on to preheat on just warm earlier and then turned it off. So it's been not on for a half hour now. But I will bring you back and show you what the loaves look like before I turn the oven on to bake them. Here they are after 30 minutes of rising. They're level with the pan. So now I will sprinkle the tops with cornmeal. Here they are. I have them ready to go in the oven. Okay, I've taken them out. They cooked about 16 minutes. And they have like a hollow sound to them. They thump. We let them cool for just a few minutes and take them out. And let these set for a few minutes and I'll flip them over. And I'll come back when it's time to slice them up. The bread has cooled enough where I can slice it and toast it. This is a bread that you want to toast. And here it is. It has some nice holes in it. And I will toast this and bring it back. I have pulled out 2 jams I have left. I have raspberry low sugar jam and low sugar maple vanilla peach jam. The toast is out. It is browned. Put some butter on it. The end piece is a little thicker than I usually do it, but that's okay. I'm going to use some of the peach maple vanilla jam. We have a peach tree out back, and we have a neighbor who has maple trees and does maple syrup every year. We buy maple syrup from them, and then I got some vanilla beans, and those were put in it when you cook the peaches down. So vanilla maple peach jam on English muffin toast, and time to do my meetings.